Good morning. Welcome to Roleplay Cafe. I am Jason. I've been gone for the last few days. I did get home last night, late yesterday evening, and although I started a video series on my channel of pro football replay that I will do at some point over the next few months, just a little bit at a time, I also picked up Warlock. I checked my emails and saw this had just come out and it was recommended. I saw who wrote it, glanced at the preview, and bought it immediately. Hardcover, color book, George Saunders Warlock. It is an OSR, but it is utterly unique in its system. And to be honest, it's a very British tabletop gaming. It is very much suits who I am in my aesthetic of gaming and how I like simple systems, and I certainly like more unique as opposed to just D&D derivatives. This is pretty remarkable. This is by the gentleman Greg Saunders, who also does the Black Hack sci-fi game Golgotha. Again, I took a good look at the preview and pretty much bought it sight unseen. I mean, you can't tell much from the preview, but I could tell immediately who it was, of course, and I could tell it was at least in the flavor of the thing I like to do. Then pleasantly surprised in my first read-through, then went to bed, got up this morning and did the second read-through. So I thought I would share this with you. Fire Ruby Game Designs. I actually like that it's the text. What is this font? Is this, oh my God. But I like this font. It feels very much like it's been typed up on a typewriter. I don't remember the name of the font, but I actually love the look of this book. It's simple as heck, and it's a throwback in a way. It is a rules light role-playing game. What's great about it is there's a theme, but there's no setting, right? This is goblins and orcs. It is based on roughly British folklore, British game, but there is no real setting. How he handles the system is, I think, brilliant. How he handles character gen is brilliant. How he handles combat and the use of skills is brilliant. To be quite honest with you, I don't think it can get much simpler, but also have depth. So character creation, you don't have attributes. This is not traditional. There are no attributes. You do have skills, and you get to assign a level to every skill in the game in your character gen, and then those levels can be increased as you adventure and improve. There are no classes. There are no real levels. There are careers, which is incredibly cool. I mean, there's not much about this game I don't like. So anyway, you put in a certain number in certain level skills, and this number is added to your die 20 roll to be successful. That's it. It's that simple. So if I have 6 points in melee, I add that to my die 20 roll against an opposed check in their melee roll, which is very cool. Stamina, of course, is your health. Magic also drains your stamina, so every magic spell you have or you know and that you cast costs stamina, so you are actually sapping your own strength. Everybody has a stamina score, and this is, of course, going to add up to your injury, potential death. There's a luck score that can be used at any time to replace a skill. If you have a higher luck score than you do a skill, you can use it and lose a point for that adventure. I think you get your luck back to start every new adventure. So luck is very cool. So that's it. I mean, you're going to have skills, and you're going to have stamina, and you're going to have luck. That's it. And everybody has all the skills, but you don't have an equal level in all the skills. Your career or profession will give you some kicks to those skills, which is very cool. There are humans, elves, dwarves, and halflings, so it's got the 4 key races, or he calls them communities. It's very cool. Career skills. Now this is what's neat, right? So again, we have our character, what we set up to do. And then you roll randomly if you'd like to, and these are all the skills here listed, right? I don't know how many there are, but you put them all down for the most part. Basic equipment, you're going to start with automatically with so much, plus your career that you roll will give you extra equipment, which is very cool. But the career is very neat. You get to roll this 4 times and choose the one you want to be in. So you roll my first career, let's say I roll a 2, and then I roll a 3, I'm a grave robber. Second career, or not second career, you get to roll it 4 times and pick your career. But let's say I finally get where I want road warden. So let's say I roll and roll until I get Road Warden, and I say that's what I'm going to be. So let's go down to Road Warden. If I can get there. Sorry, I don't like spinning a review. And I love the font. I love how clean this game is. And the system just can't grave robber. So Road Warden should be coming up here. Road Warden, I believe, is kind of like a ranger, but I'm guessing. I haven't read it that focused yet. Oh, come on, Road Warden. Should give you a page number. That would have been nice. Peddler. Raconteur, catcher. Come on, there it is. Crossbow 10, dodge 10. So you need to roll. So what this means, this is your skill in crossbows, which is very cool. So when I roll the d20, I add 10 to my roll to beat a 20 plus, or basically to beat their opposed roll. So my crossbow gets a plus 10 to the d20 roll. Well, their dodge might get a plus 10, right? Their dodge might get a sword plus 12, right? So you have to beat them in that roll. It's an opposed check, which is very neat. Navigation 12. So you can see you start with 10 skills at 6. However, when you get your career, you get these skills at these higher rates. So a Road Warden with a very nice polearm skill, Ostler, which is Groom. And then a brief description. And then this is the equipment you also get along with that starting equipment. So it's very cool. And then you get to roll a little bit kind of your background. Where have you been? Who have you seen? Exactly. And then we got soldiers. So I think it's so clever. It's a great, simple way to develop your character before you launch into your career. Then you get to pick 3 traits or make 3 of your own. They have no impact on the play. They just kind of help you decide the personality of your character. You can write your own or pick 3 here. And so, but again, they don't affect play. This is solely for you to kind of get a feel for your character before you start. Again, Warlock, I like this. A lot of this has been somewhat wonderful for me to read, but also a little sad because Dell and I are developing our own game. It feels, in many ways, this game feels similar. There were certain thought patterns going on with in development for this that Dell and I seem to share. There are pennies, silver, and gold. Pennies are the most common, and they're what you're going to buy most things with are pennies. Anyway, pretty interesting. And you roll to see how much something costs. So if I have so many pennies, but I want this 10-foot chain, I'm going to roll die 6 to find out what the penny. So there is no set cost. It's going to be variable, which is cool. And then, of course, there are gold items. There are items that cost silver and items, and that I love this, right? Middle class items, upper class items. Very, very cool. Outstanding way of handling equipment and what it costs. Like you're not going to have a war horse unless you have gold. Right? And then you're going to roll 2d6 to see how much gold that warhorse is. A two-handed weapon. So this is spot on. Plate mail armor. This is exactly how my game is set. The game that Dell and I are developing, except ours is a CV rating you have to roll. But again, you can see similar thought patterns going on here between Greg Saunders and Dell and I. There are gods. There's the thrice blessed, the Red King, the Wild Wood, the Heartstone, the Dragon. So that's cool. It doesn't have a setting so much as it has these things, and then you can kind of go with your own world, which I think is very, very cool. Core rules, taking actions, you have to beat a 20. It's that simple. Every roll you make, you must beat a 20. So you add your skill, so that crossbow of 10, I need to get a 20 or better. Well, actually, that's in combat, so it's an opposed check. So that's what's really cool about it. If I happen to roll an 11 and my opponent rolls a 9, I win, right? I don't have to roll some special number. But when you're trying to jump the river or swim the river, jump the pit, you need to roll a 20 and add your relevant skill to it, which is very simple. I mean, you can't do better than that. You must get D20, add your skill, and get a 20 or more. So when you start, some of those skills have a 6. So you're going to need a 14 or better on most skill checks starting. Again, can't get simpler. And then there's a 2 to 4 skill penalty. So you don't take it off the roll, you take it off the skill. So let's say I impose a penalty because your character's wearing plate mail armor, and I impose a 4 penalty to your jump. Your jump's a 6. You got a 2 plus 2 added to that to be. So you're going to need a 18, 19, or 20 to clear that pit. So you might want to think long and hard, and you can see the simple formula here. So opposed checks, literally whoever rolls highest wins. Very simple, right? You don't fail. Luck can be put into that place. You improve your characters, you get 1 to 3 point advances, and then you can spend those on skills. That's it. I mean, there's no other place to spin this information. You can upgrade, of course, your stamina and your. I don't think your luck changes. I don't remember. And then there's advanced careers. As you get higher level, you're going to be looking at more focused careers. Again, I call this a class-less system, but technically it's a career system, which in a way is a class. And you can see what happens to these levels when you select these higher level classes. I'm very impressed with this game, impressed with the simplicity. Spells are quite literally, you roll on a table to see which spells you start your career with. Some are divined from your god. You have to pay close attention to that. There are critical hits. When you suffer 0 stamina, you have to roll to see critical. Some of these criticals literally cost you limbs. They can cost you instant death, etc. The other thing that's very neat about this is magic. Magic, again, you roll to find out what you start your career with. You can cast spells, and spells all cost stamina right off your health. So let's say I roll and I start with, let's say I start with Hammer. I just happen to roll Hammer as my starting spell. Let's go find Hammer. And again, I'm kind of going through, I've only read through this twice, so I could be a little off on some of the details, but that's okay, right? Hammer 3. So every time I use Hammer, it's going to cost me 3 stamina off my body. So using magic saps your own energy, which I think is a brilliant way to do it. If you ever roll a critical failure, which is a 1, it's a potential miscast. So there are miscasts in this, but you have to roll a 1 to suffer a miscast. This spell gives the caster enhanced strength so that their weapons hit like hammer blows. In combat, if the caster hits the target, roll the damage die twice and take the better result. This lasts for 1 to 6. And so you can see how simple the spells are as well. Not complicated. Very well done. Very well written. Short. It's just not a complicated way to handle how we want to do our fantasy OSR, right? So anyway, let's get down here to almost the end. A couple things I want to note in this. I'm not a fan of treasure and experience points with D&D. I do believe it creates the idea of hunt and kill monster. It creates solely the idea of murder hoboism. So I'm one that doesn't like to use XP, treasure and XP for leveling up. In this game, that is not how it works. There is no treasure, there is no XP. So again, you can see an elf, for instance, is civilized. So I love the fact that he puts them in civilized or uncivilized as opposed to good or evil. How many actions they get in a turn, weapon skill and damage. Weapons is whatever he's carrying. 6 is what he gets added to his D20 roll to fight back. His armor, he can be in armor. All this means is he can wear any armor. And then he has a 5 for adventuring skills. So let's say it turns out that you're in a gambling match with this elf. He would have a 5 gambling rating. And then his health and notes, they are intelligent. And then there's a brief description of the elf. This is a remarkable way to do, I think, the OSR. A ghoul, again, we got civilized, uncivilized, and we have monsters, right? Dell and I, of course, in the middle of our development, everything is abstracted. Our combat's abstracted, and our movement in combat is abstract, and our turns, time, sequence is abstract. Well, guess what? This game does that too. That in reading this, I was reminded that I think most GMs probably run D&D that way as a homebrew tweak. They don't get caught up in distances and time, etc. And I like that. The Game Master section, I have not read. I rarely read the Game Master sections of these books until I'm ready to start running games, because they generally tell me what I've been doing for 40 years. So I don't usually look at those unless it's a different kind of system, like 2D20 Conan would be a different kind of GM section. Anyway, and there it is. That's it. The character sheet right here. Name, community, career. Again, you see no attributes, right? And then we have just skills. And you're going to have a level in every one of these skills. So you cannot, it's not as if you're not going to have, actually, you might miss some, but I think you get 10 at 6 and 10 at 5. And then you'll have your career ones that are automatically higher. So I believe you'll have a number in every one of these skills, which is nice. One of the problems with skill-based games is what happens when you don't have the skill, and I believe you'll end up with every skill in this. Then your career skills here, your weapons, and your possessions, and that's how simple and brilliant this little game is. Anyway, I wanted to share it. I was pleasantly surprised when I saw my emails last night. looked at the thing. He bought this, ordered the book, and I look forward to running this and sharing this more about this over the course of the next few months. Thank you, and good day.